Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Untitled Chapter viewers. In this video, we're going to talk about the first 12 things you should do on your new iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Pro, or iPhone 11 Pro Max. Now, a lot of this can also trickle down to the iPhone 10, 10s, even the iPhone 8. Now, this is going to be a 3-part series where I talk about the first things you should do in this video. The next video will be going over the first apps you should download for your new iPhone. And then lastly, we will have a video going over the best battery tips for your iPhone. All 3 of these are going to be super important videos, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you guys get notified when we drop those videos. There will also be links to those videos down below in the pinned comment. So let's get right into this, guys. The first tip, if you guys just picked up a brand new iPhone 11 Pro, iPhone 11, whatever iPhone you got, the first thing you're going to want to do is to set it up. And a lot of people decide to restore from a backup. So if you do decide to restore from a backup, you can do that and it will transfer all of your stuff over seamlessly. However, there may be a lot of junk that you actually don't want anymore on your phone. So what I do and what I recommend is set up your phone as if it's brand new. Load nothing over onto it, and then when you do get it, you can pick and choose and download the apps that you use the most. So that's exactly what I did. It takes a little bit of extra time. It took me about 3 hours to set this thing up completely. However, I know there's no junk being carried over from my old phone. And just a pro tip when you're doing this, if you decide to do this route, hold your old phone next to your new iPhone so you guys can kind of like look at all the apps and evaluate which ones you actually want on your brand new phone. All right, guys, so for tip number 2, you're going to want to hop into settings, scroll down until you see privacy, click on that, and then click on location services, scroll all the way down, and you will see system services. Click on that, and you guys can copy kind of how I have this set up if you guys want to turn off a lot of this location stuff, but I'll talk about more of that in the battery video. But if you scroll down to significant locations, this is a really creepy section where basically your iPhone will track everywhere you go and store it here so that it can know where you tend to go at certain times. Now, if you want to catch your spouse cheating, great, this might help you, but otherwise, there's not much of a reason to have this on, so I always turn this off and clear all the history. This will also save you some battery as well. So let's revisit this section here. Any of these that you don't use, you should have off. I've turned off cell network search, HomeKit, location-based Apple ads, of course, should be off. Location-based suggestions off. Motion calibration distance, you can leave that on, and time zone. Wi-Fi networking can be turned off. And then all of these product improvements, turn those off as well. It's creepy and it will just drain your battery. And I would keep status bar icon off. Now, the next tip here is to actually go through all of these and make sure they are set to how you want them. A lot of these do not need access to your location, especially at all times. So go ahead and change them to either never or while using if you really have to use it, like a Maps app. But just go through them and set them how they should be. You only have to really do this one time, especially if you are transferring apps over. But it's super important to do this for your battery and your privacy. You can also go through these and kind of pick and choose which ones you want apps to have access to your photos, camera, etc. But down here, here's a little bonus tip for you guys. If you guys go down here and you click on advertising here, you guys can limit ad tracking. You can also reset your advertising identifier. So I recommend turning on limit ad tracking and then resetting your identifier. This will limit the amount of information that ad trackers can get on you. And another little bonus, if you go into analytics, turn off all of that, of course. All right, so this next tip is a little bit controversial because Apple seems to keep trying to hide this option. You would think that auto brightness would be under display and brightness, but it's not. So if you guys want to turn off auto brightness, which I always recommend people turn it off, you have to actually go into accessibility, then display and text sizes, and then scroll all the way down to auto brightness. I don't know why they've hidden it so much, but I highly recommend turning this off. You guys can always manually change your brightness right here. By the way, I keep mine just above the top ray of the sun and it is perfect, but this should be turned off for battery reasons as well as it's just annoying to have the screen always changing different brightness levels. All right, so the next tip here, tip number, I think we're on 7. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to go into display and brightness here, and you guys can see, first of all, I've got True Tone off. I don't like that, but auto lock, this is what we're taking a look at here. You guys want to set this to something other than 30 seconds and definitely not never. You set it to 30 seconds, it can get super annoying when your phone's automatically locking on you all the time. And if you set it to never, if you leave your phone on and you've got an iPhone with an OLED display, like an iPhone 10, 11 Pro, or 10s, you could risk the chance of burn-in, like if you left it on an image all night. So I highly recommend setting it to 5 minutes. It's just long enough that it's not going to be annoying, but it's also going to lock it if you do forget to lock your phone yourself. So the next tip here deals with your app. So if you click on general here and then go to background app refresh, I highly recommend turning this off. All of these apps do not need to refresh in the background. Your battery life will go up if you turn this. If you really do have to have one on, you can turn it on, but I highly recommend having it off for all apps. Now this next one here is good for those of you who are not on an unlimited data plan, but if you are on an unlimited data plan, you guys can still utilize this tip. Basically go into cellular here, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and right here you'll see something called Wi-Fi assist. I highly recommend turning that off. Now the reason that this should be turned off is because basically what would happen is if you have bad Wi-Fi, it will automatically use your data, but you'll still see the Wi-Fi icon up at the top. So you will think that you're on Wi-Fi, but it's actually using up your data. So turn this off. There's almost no use for it, honestly, and it's just deceptive. Now this next tip here, guys, is about brightness. So I already kind of touched on this, but I do like to keep mine just above the sun here. But if you keep your brightness above 50%, you are going to notice a lot of battery drain, like significantly. So if you're out and about in the sun, of course, you're going to want it at full brightness, but when you're indoors, you really do not need it above this ray of the sun on this icon. That is pretty much the perfect brightness, at least that I've found. And it might seem dim at first if you're used to being up top, but first of all, you will love the battery gains that you get from this. And second of all, your eyes will adjust after about 10 minutes. I think people just keep their brightness up way too much and it just strains their eyes, and this is a much better approach. And of course, the brighter it is, the higher the risk of burn-in. Not that iPhones really have an issue with this, but just to stay on the safe side, lower is always better. Now this next tip here is often overlooked, but if you head into settings here and you click on notifications, go through these and turn off every single one of them that you do not use. So I've turned off many of these that I just don't like to get notified for, and I really just don't need them. It only takes a couple minutes, but it will save you a lot of battery life and frustration when a bunch of apps are sending you notifications that you just don't care about. All right, so we are in the final stretch here of tips and tricks for your iPhone. Last tip is something that YouTubers never talk about. So you've got your new phone, you've got it all set up every way that you want it. The last thing that you need to do that no one ever talks about is reboot your phone. You really need to reboot your phone after you've gone through all your apps, loaded them all up, signed into them, and after your phone indexes all of its files after like 20 minutes, reboot the phone. So to do this, you can just press and hold the power button as well as the volume up. Just hold it for a second, slide the power off, and you will be good to go. Once it's off, turn it back on. Everything will be clean. Everything will be working just as it should. I have no idea why other YouTubers don't mention this, but it can dramatically help your phone as well as the performance of apps. Another side tip to that one would actually be to reboot your phone maybe once a week just to clear out the cache and files and everything, but that's totally up to you. Now the final bonus tip here, if you guys have an iPhone 10, 10s, or iPhone 11 Pro, you guys can really take advantage of a black dark wallpaper. So first off, if you're using dark mode, I highly recommend dark appearance dims wall. However, if you go into the stills of the wallpaper, there is one that is completely black right here. If you use this, it basically turns off all of the pixels on an OLED display. So again, iPhone 10, 10s, 10s Max, 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max, those all have OLED screens. So if you use this, you will get battery savings and it will be pitch black. I definitely enjoy using this when I can. If you guys look back at my old videos, I use this one a lot on my iPhone 10. Of course, there's some really cool new live wallpapers included with iOS 13, so check those out as well if you have an iPhone 11 Pro. But yeah, guys, those have been my tips for the iPhone 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max. Basically, whichever iPhone you've got, these tips can probably help you out. Now, I know a lot of these tips, a lot of other YouTubers don't talk about, so hopefully you guys learned something. If you did, please drop it with a big thumbs up and subscribe. I've got those other videos coming out very soon. Check back for those in just a couple days. That's all I got for this one, guys. See you guys in the next one. Peace.